I woke up to the sound of laughter outside my window, the kind of laughter that doesn't belong in a quiet suburb, the kind that makes your stomach drop before your brains even had a chance to wake up. When I stepped out onto my driveway, barefoot, blinking in the morning sun, I saw it right away. My '67 Mustang, the car I spent 3 years restoring for my dad's memory, was covered top to bottom in neon orange spray paint. Right across the door, in drippy, crooked letters, comply or leave. And just like that, whatever hope I'd had for a normal day died on the spot. I could smell the chemicals before I even got close. It was fresh, bold, almost arrogant. I looked up and, of course, there she was, Karen, president of the HOA, pink tracksuit and little white dog in her arms, smirking at me from the corner. Not a word, not a wave. She just watched, turned, walked away like nothing happened. That was the moment I knew she'd declared war, and honestly, she thought she'd already won. I stood there, mouth half open, the letters burning into my brain, and for a few minutes, I couldn't do anything except stare. This wasn't some random act. The writing was too careful. This was personal. Let me back up a sec. For weeks, Karen had been on me about community standards, the unapproved car in the driveway, lawn height, mailbox color. I'd ignored her emails. My Mustang wasn't some old junker, it was family. My dad left it to me, and getting it roadworthy again got me through some rough years. Now, 40 grand and 100 weekends later, it was trashed in minutes. I ran a hand over the paint, feeling it smear, and something inside me snapped. Not anger, not yet. More like cold calculation. If Karen really did this, she'd just gone from annoying to criminal. So I started digging. I pulled up her emails, every citation she'd ever sent me. There were 7, for everything from a crooked mailbox to a spot of oil on the driveway. Systematic harassment. And I could see her outside, pacing with her little dog, phone glued to her ear, glancing at my house like it was some kind of trophy. By mid-morning, a few neighbors had wandered over. Dale, retired Navy mechanic, just shook his head and said, "Man, that's a crime." He was right, but I didn't want to call the cops yet, not with Karen's talent for drama. Instead, I snapped photos, close-ups, reflections, everything. Dale helped me wheel the Mustang into the garage, at least get it out of sight. That was the first flicker of real anger. Around noon, Karen strutted up my driveway like she owned the place. She tapped on the door, long, manicured nails, sunglasses hiding her eyes, and when I opened it, she just smiled. "I see there's been some vandalism. Such a shame when people don't appreciate community values. Maybe it's time to park that old car somewhere proper." Her tone was sugar and venom. I stared jaw tight. "You got security footage from last night?" She blinked, caught off guard for half a second. "Oh, well, my cameras weren't facing your property. You know the rules about private surveillance without approval." Then she smiled again and left. I watched her through the blinds as she marched back across the street, her dog yapping, and my house suddenly felt smaller, violated. In the garage, I ran my hand along the Mustang's ruined paint. My reflection was all warped and orange and strange. I remembered my dad, clear as day. "Respect isn't given, son. Sometimes you've got to take it back." I actually smiled at that, because I knew exactly what I was going to do. That night, I didn't sleep. I was up wiring tiny cameras under the eaves, inside the mailbox post, wherever I could. If Karen wanted a war, I'd show her patience. Every message she'd ever sent, every notice, every fine, it was all part of a pattern. Obsession, not concern. Around 3 in the morning, I sat at the kitchen counter, hands still stained orange, and just planned. The next morning, I filed a police report, but I left her name out of it. I wanted her to feel safe, unthreatened. Let her get careless. Sure enough, by afternoon, 2 patrol cars were out front, officers chatting with Karen as she pointed wildly toward my house, probably explaining how aggressive I'd been, how unsightly my car was. The irony was so thick I almost laughed. Days passed. Some neighbors were sympathetic, others just wanted gossip. Karen played the attention up, holding a community watch meeting at her house, passing out pamphlets on neighborhood beauty. It was impressive how far she'd go to keep her story straight. But I was watching, every night, reviewing the camera feeds. Then one night, jackpot, 2 shadows creeping near my garage. One small, one tall. The smaller giggled, the taller hissed. "Quiet, we don't want him to hear." I recognized that voice, that sharp edge. It was Karen, holding a spray can, whispering to her son, I realized later, a skinny kid in a hoodie. I saved the footage, backed it up, and didn't say a word. Next morning, she was out front, smiling at neighbors, waving like a pageant queen. I just smiled right back. She had no idea she'd been caught, that every move was recorded. The next thing I did was drive over to see Mark, a friend, ex-detective, the kind of guy who'd seen every flavor of suburban crazy. I showed him the footage, and he just shook his head. You got her. What now? I grinned. Let her stew. She thinks she's above everyone. I want the whole neighborhood to see it for themselves. Mark just laughed. Patience and poker face. That's how you win these things. When I got back, Karen was pruning her roses, humming too loud. She waved at me like we were old friends. I waved back, which clearly annoyed her. She wanted conflict, wanted a reaction. My calm was killing her. Later, I watched her corner Mrs. Sanders, the sweet widow next door, probably filling her head with lies about me. I let it go. The more I kept quiet, the louder Karen's lies would ring when the truth came out. At the next HOA maintenance review, I showed up for the first time, and she made a show of welcoming me. Mr. Thompson, how's your little car situation? She said, all syrupy. I just smiled. Actually, that's what I wanted to discuss. Does anyone have footage from that night? The room went silent. Karen, caught off guard again, stammered that the community cameras were under maintenance. A lie, obviously, but I didn't push. I just said, interesting. The vandals seemed to know exactly what to avoid. That was enough. By the end of the meeting, the room was full of whispers. After that, I started sowing seeds. Casual conversations about the vandalism, rumors about police getting close, all of it. Word spread like wildfire. Karen's reputation, once bulletproof, was developing cracks. She tried to reassert control with a fresh fine, claimed my car was leaking oil, threatened $250. I just replied, noted, I'll handle it, and forwarded everything to my lawyer. He laughed. She's walking on thin ice. If she's behind the vandalism and still issuing fines, that's harassment. Keep everything. I did. Mark helped tweak my cameras, and Dale kept an eye out, too. I made sure Karen saw me working on the Mustang, smiling, unbothered. She was waiting for me to explode. Instead, I smiled and waved. It drove her crazy. Then she tried another violation notice, noise complaints, this time, and signed only by her, not the board. I brought it up at the next meeting, asked when the board approved it. The room froze. Karen blustered about executive authority, but nobody bought it anymore. That week, I anonymously mailed still frames from the footage to every board member. Just silhouettes, nothing explicit, and a note. Someone in leadership may be responsible for the vandalism. Suddenly, Karen was everywhere, yelling at Dale for his old pickup, storming up and down the street, panic written all over her face. Her control was slipping, and she knew it. Finally, at the annual HOA barbecue, the event she lived for, I made my move. The whole neighborhood gathered, Karen on stage making her usual speech about unity and respect. When she tried to shut down rumors of misconduct, I spoke up. Couldn't agree more. Which is why I brought something to clear things up. I pulled out a tablet, connected to a speaker, and played the footage. The crowd watched in stunned silence as Karen and her son sprayed my Mustang in the dead of night. There was no denying it. The bracelet, the laughter, the profile shot. It was all there. Karen tried to claim it was fake, but Mark pointed out the bracelet on her wrist, the same one in the video. Phones came out. The crowd gasped, neighbors whispering her name, and Karen lost it, yelling about slander, storming off with her son. The board suspended her as president. My lawyer filed a formal complaint, and the cops opened a new investigation. Word spread that her insurance refused to pay for the damage, calling it intentional. She was on the hook for everything. A week later, her husband George showed up, exhausted but almost relieved. She admitted it. She did it because she thought you were mocking her. I'm sorry. He handed me a check, 40 grand, signed by her. She was moving out of state. For the first time in months, I felt real peace. But of course, that wasn't the end. Stories like this never just end. They fade out, leaving traces behind. A few weeks later, the board found discrepancies in the HOA funds, landscaping projects that never happened, money in Karen's personal account. Fraud charges were coming. Then one night, someone left a photo of my Mustang in the mailbox. Hope your paint lasts longer this time. I upped my security. A few nights later, cameras caught Karen's son trying to vandalize the car again, this time with a crowbar. The cops caught him, and it all came crashing down. Harassment, vandalism, fraud. Eventually, Karen passed away, alone, out of state. Her husband brought me her old clipboard and a note. I was wrong. I couldn't stop. Maybe this will help you understand. That was it. No apology, no explanation. But that was all I needed. The board finally started running the HOA like a community, not a kingdom. Neighbors smiled. Lawns grew wild. The Mustang gleamed under the sun, good as new. And as the seasons changed and peace settled in for good, I realized something my dad tried to teach me years ago. You can rebuild what's broken, and sometimes the quiet victories are the ones that last. Some stories end with fire. Mine ended with laughter, chrome, and a driveway humming steady and strong. So, let me ask you, where do you draw the line between standing your ground and becoming the villain? Have you ever faced down a bully and come out the other side? Drop your thoughts below. Is justice always worth the cost? Or does peace sometimes mean letting go? I'll be reading your comments, and I can't wait to hear your side.